me with that.
Oh, Borderlands, you saucy minx. I just don't know, John.
You don't?
I don't know whether I really like Borderlands or not. Like, I've played all of them. And I played one, but I didn't finish it. And I played 2 all the way to the end, and I played the pre-sequel, and that's what we're here to talk about today. But fortunately, I didn't finish the pre-sequel, but you did.
I did. Yes, I did.
So, and you do know whether you like Borderlands.
Yeah, I generally like Borderlands. Yeah,
right?
For the most part.
Like, I was thinking the other day, I watched the trailer for the Telltale games, the Tales from Borderlands, and I was just like, it's like for my entire life, I've been very much like 62% interested in Borderlands.
Yeah.
The point where I play it, but I'm not ever really sure whether I want to play, like, you think about Borderlands 2 and all of the DLC that came out for it, and I just kind of go, no, I don't really want to play that much Borderlands.
Yeah.
But you do.
Yeah, I like Borderlands.
Okay.
I'm totally cool with jumping back into it every now and then.
Yeah. And so this year, they put out Borderlands, the pre-sequel.
Yes, which is not by the 2K developer, or the 2K team that normally does Borderlands 1 and 2. This is done by 2K Australia.
Right.
Though the story is the lead writer is the same lead writer from Borderlands 2, which is Anthony Birch.
Okay.
So that they can keep continuity correct, and also so that it still has that same voice.
Okay.
To make sure it still sounds the same, the story wise.
Okay.
But this is a game where we're finding out about Handsome Jack, about how he became the man that he is in Borderlands 2.
How did he get so handsome? How does one man become so handsome? No, so at the beginning of this, it seems like you are an employee of Hyperion?
Well, you are a vault hunter, essentially, that has been hired by Jack,
right?
For Hyperion to do some stuff for him,
right?
And then when you happen to be getting on the shuttle to go to the Helios, the space station, to meet up with him, shit happens.
Right, robots jump in. That song from the trailer for Arkham City starts playing.
Yeah, and all hell breaks loose.
Okay, and so we've got 4 new Vault Hunters this time around. 4 new old Vault Hunters this time around.
All 4 characters are NPCs from previous games.
Okay.
2 of which are specifically introduced in Borderlands 2, and 2 of which appeared in Borderlands 1.
Okay.
The main of the 4, which I guess we'll get to in a moment, Athena.
Okay.
She was from the DLC, the General Knox DLC from Borderlands 1, one of the storyline components. She was introduced in that. So
she's Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Athena, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's where she comes from.
Yeah. And then obviously the other one is Claptrap, who is the is
this the actual Claptrap that you meet at the beginning of Borderlands 2?
1 and 2, yeah.
Okay.
It's the same Claptrap robot.
Okay.
In all 3 games.
All right.
And there's a whole explanation on, because in Borderlands 2, if for the untrained person, you may have missed this. In Borderlands 2, he is the last Claptrap.
Oh, okay.
And this kind of also ties into that as well.
Okay.
The story. And then the other 2 characters are Nisa, who is the Lawbringer, is her nickname in this game, and she was from Borderlands 2. She's the sheriff of one of the towns, and also the girlfriend of Handsome Jack in Borderlands 2. And then also Wilhelm, who is also a henchman of Jack in Borderlands 2. Who is, you may recognize him as the giant robotic person that you like. I think he's like the first Hyperion boss after, he's a very early on boss that you take on.
Ooh, I say that Borderlands 2 came out. There were a lot of games in between Borderlands 2 and right now. So, well, okay, so I guess the big rundown here is what are the powers of each one of these characters? So
Nisha kind of has this ability to, the Lawbringer, which is the one I played most as.
Yeah.
She has this kind of thing, this Deadeye thing where if you're just shooting from the hip, it just automatically targets everyone on your screen.
Okay.
So basically, just regardless of if they're not in the center of the screen, it just automatically puts the reticle on them.
Was there a class in Borderlands 2? Did the Necromancer do something like that? I seem to remember there being something like that in Borderlands 2, or maybe there was something else. Anyway.
However, if you zoom down the barrel, it actually automatic headshot.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So it's in Wilhelm. throws out 2 drones, which one is a healing drone, and the other is an offensive, or basically an offensive and a defensive drone.
Okay.
One is
kind of like the soldier class,
kind of,
a little bit, but more maneuverable without the stationary component.
Correct. It's like 2 flying drones. One heals, and the other attacks other people in the area.
Okay.
And then Athena has this kind of. Basically she's like Captain America, I guess you could say. She has a shield that she can throw and hit people with.
Okay.
And then
is that the extent of her special power?
I'm going to be honest. I haven't honestly played a lot of her characters.
Fair enough.
But it's a temporary shield that she can use to absorb damage.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently so the throw thing is actually a later upgrade.
Oh, okay.
Mostly it's a shield that pops out that you can use to absorb damage and stop bullets from hitting you or whatever as an extra shield. And then as it's upgraded, she can throw it to hit people.
Okay.
And then Claptrap has an ability called VaultHunter.exe. Which is random. Essentially, what it is it randomly accesses a Vault Hunter from any of the previous games and gives you the ability of that Vault Hunter. And then also some extra weird ones thrown in for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I played for maybe 4 or 5 hours in the game, and what I played was mostly Claptrap, and so in addition to this crazy random thing, Claptrap also has a bunch of random like buffs and stuff that'll trigger on him, which makes it for just being a really... Actually, I feel like Claptrap's the best... I think Claptrap's one of the best characters in this game because it really just kind of keeps you on your toes, right?
Yeah.
You're never sure when you hit that special button what the fuck you're going to get.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the Gunzerker? Is it going to be the flying tiny Claptrap hawk that kills
or is
people?
it just going to be a tiny Claptrap minion that just dances, doesn't actually do anything, doesn't help you in any way, does nothing for you, just sits there and dances and beatboxes?
Yep. And that is pretty fantastic.
I even think it's funny. There's another one that's a variation on that, where it's basically it's zeros from where he goes invisible.
Right.
But the way they explain it is that you don't actually go invisible. The minion comes out and is distracting everyone else, and you become invisible because of it.
Oh, Borderlands, you and your humor.
I think that Claptrap has the most humor, and it's humor that works. And doesn't. The joke is that it's annoying, and that somehow makes it okay. Is that it's supposed to be annoying and.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know a lot of people who don't like Claptrap. I know a lot of people who are tired of Claptrap. But like, in all honesty, like when I played Borderlands 2, okay, well, this is a source of contention between me and the fans.
Okay,
the fans and I should say. I do not like Tiny Tina.
Okay.
I found her irritating very much straight away, but I never got tired. Like every time in Borderlands 2 that I went back to town and he was back there dancing and just going, I'm dancing,
and
I'm
doing
dancing.
His whoops.
Yeah. I laughed every single time. Like I don't know what it was, but it's like Claptrap was, and I know some people who really don't like him, but I thought it was great. And so the idea that you could play as Claptrap in this game, I was just like, well, I gotta do that, right?
Yeah, and I even like the story on why the storyline element on why his ability is so random, which is apparently the guy who created the Claptraps made them the way they are because he never wanted them to be used for weapons or war. So he made their programming, their AI, so that it can't be tampered with.
Yeah.
And Jack essentially got a hold of this specific Claptrap unit and tried to turn it into a weapon. And he was successful insofar that it now has a weaponized mode, but it's completely random and
worthless.
And kind of worthless because of it.
Yeah.
Because of what this creator did, what he installed in the AI and all of the Claptrap robots.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of clever in a way.
Yeah. So back to the story. You're Vault Hunter. You're up on the Hyperion station with Jack, and some shit's going down. Yeah.
So basically, there's a group that's attacking the station because they want to stop Jack from doing something. It's essentially what Jack is. He's looking for another vault.
Right.
He comes to you and says, "Hey, I know there's another vault, and it's supposed to have like some powerful shit in it, even more than what was in the first vault, and I want to get it. I want it because I want to use it to save Pandora." to save Pandora from all the evils that are plaguing this planet, which is interesting because because obviously if you played Borderlands 2, Jack's a crazy maniac.
Yep.
He's fucking, he is totally a villain.
Yeah, one of the most affecting things in this game was the first 15 or 20 minutes where Jack shows up, and he's so nice and so self-sacrificing. He is like a hero, right?
Yeah. Well, and
what the fuck happened to you?
What
man?
I do like about it, though, is there are little moments of, even when he's being a hero, where that Jack from 2 starts to come out, where you're like, wait a minute, is he just playing a part, or is he like legitimately like that guy? So you kind of start to see those little elements of that personality to come out to kind of explain that transformation, to help that transformation from being this nice guy to what he is, to being handsome Jack.
Right. So from there you get shot down onto the moon.
You go to the moon of Pandora.
Yeah.
Which, because this game is being made by 2K Australia, I did like the fact that all of the people on the moon speak in Australian accents.
Yeah.
There's even a joke, which I thought was really hilarious, where the Claptraps are all voiced by the same guy. All the Claptrap robots. There is one Claptrap robot that works in Moxie's bar on the moon that is and he's trying to do a really terrible Australian accent while he's speaking, which is hilarious.
Okay. So from there, I mean, for those people out there who have somehow are listening to this and have somehow never engaged in Borderlands before, Borderlands is a first-person shooter, kind of / RPG, where the big draw is that it's got that Diablo style, that sweet, sweet Diablo style loot system where guns are randomly generated, and they have various elemental attacks and different types of damage increases and things that will. Like, some of them take up 2 bullets every time they take a shot, and some of them are full auto, and there's a gajillion.
Some of them that instead of reloading, you just throw the gun and it explodes, and then you get a new gun.
And it makes for, when you go down on the planet, basically, then the game just starts out as kind of, a limited single-player MMO, right? Where you go and you pick up quests from people, and then you go out into the world and pretty much just blow something up.
Yeah, you basically go around shooting stuff, going down dungeons, fighting bosses, killing bosses, everything to get towards further your goal in the story or whatnot. And along the way, you get more guns, more and more guns. And they do have 2 new gun types in the pre-sequel that were not available in the previous 2 games.
Okay, one was beam weapons, right?
One is laser guns, essentially. Which there's even a story that involves Torque, Mr. Torque, where he hates laser weapons because his guns all explode and he loves explosions. Which I love that mission.
It's pretty early on in the game because I played it. I played it as well. Then what's the other type?
And then the other type is freeze weapons. They're like cryo guns where you can shoot your enemies and it'll freeze them. Some people it'll just slow down and make them move slower. Others it'll freeze them solid in ice, and you can actually walk up to them and melee them and shatter them.
Okay.
Which that's the other new weapon in the game.
Okay.
But there's still tons of games there. I think one of my favorite weapons in the game that's completely, I can't remember if it's a story weapon or if it's just a weapon I picked up, but it's essentially a weapon that it's a shotgun that talks to you, but it says nothing but foul-mouthed thing, and it's a woman. It's a woman voice, and it's just like, yeah, stick the weapon, stick the ammo in me. Yeah, kick him in the cunt. Yeah, put those bloody it's yelling these obscenities while you're shooting it, and it's just like, and then like you change weapons, like, oh well, fuck you then, kind of thing. It's just like, I have weapons that do more damage than this gun, but I really like this gun.
And then you've got guns. You've got a few different gun slots. You've got grenades, obviously.
Yeah.
Shields. You've got some kind of passive bonuses. A lot of the stuff from the previous Borderlands.
Yeah,
is here.
Here's the thing, and this is probably going to be the long and short of it. It's just more Borderlands. It doesn't really. It's not rocking the boat.
Right.
It's adding a few things that are interesting, but mechanic wise, it's more Borderlands.
Well, the only thing that I remember that seemed like it was very different was oxygen.
Oxygen and zero gravity, really.
Right, because out on the moon, you basically, if you're playing anybody but Claptrap, essentially, you have an O2 meter.
Which I really like that with Claptrap. Because he's like, I need that. And she's like, you're a robot, you don't need oxygen. But I need it.
Yeah. Yeah, like you have an O2 meter, but it never actually. I mean, it doesn't really go down.
It never goes down.
Yeah.
It never goes down unless you use it, because you can use the O2 kit, or Oz kits as they're called in the game, to boost yourself.
Yeah,
like
to kind of double jump a little bit.
Yeah, double jump a little bit. Also do these things called butt slams where you just slam into the ground.
Yeah. But then what's interesting is that they have those O2 kits, and they have that's another thing that you get more of over the course of the game, and they'll have different passive effects and active effects that change the way that things operate.
Like some will do, some will actually heal you when when you have oxygen. Some will, when you do the butt slam, they'll cause like different element effects in the area. There's a lot of different variations on those as well.
Well, okay, so you played all the way through to the end of this, right?
I have beaten the game. Yes.
Okay, so here's the question. It sounds like for my money, the people out there that are listening to this review who maybe haven't purchased the game yet, that you're saying it's just more Borderlands, and that's what I got out of it too. Like some minor tweaks, but for the most part, just more Borderlands. But so then at that point, it seems to me like the big draw for this, if you are not just a huge fan of the Borderlands, or if you are positive to indifferent about the actual combat style of Borderlands, is going to be how good is the narrative, how good is the story, how good are the subquests, how good are the jokes, how good all around is the actual story of the game.
So I think because the fact they have Anthony Birch, who again was one of the head writers for Borderlands 2, so it's a lot of those same type of humor.
Okay.
So I know that there were some people that really liked Borderlands 1, but didn't really care for some of the more outlandish stuff from Borderlands 2.
Okay.
You're getting more Borderlands 2 than Borderlands 1 here.
So it's more outlandish. It's less self-serious.
Yeah, there's more. It's a little bit more crazy. It's a little bit more, it's that crazy kind of random humor a little bit, kind of like Claptrap.
Right.
So it's a lot of crazy stuff like that. I will say narratively, I do think the game has some pacing issues, especially with how in the story they tell you how to do certain things long after you figured it out yourself.
Right.
Like one of my biggest issues with the kind of tutorialization of it is, so when you first get to the moon, you don't have an O2 kit.
Right.
So you have to basically find these areas that are giving you oxygen.
Yeah.
And and they show you there's geysers that are shooting up oxygen from the ground.
Right.
And you can run up to them and it refills your oxygen meter.
Also, enemies drop oxygen, and there's also these like domes
Correct.
that you can pop open.
Correct. So you figure out that what these geysers do that are on the ground. And then like after you kill the first moon boss, then they tell you in the story what the geysers are. And this is like a good hour after you've already figured out what the geysers are on your own without needing to be told, which I felt was a little, because there's a lot of little moments like that, but that's like the most offensive of it, where it's like I figured out how to do something 10, 15, 20 minutes later, they tell me how to do it.
Okay.
And even then the story is weird because it's both a sequel and a prequel.
It's a pre-sequel.
Well, yeah. I mean, because the entire game is told in flashback.
Okay.
So the story opens and ends after Borderlands 2.
Okay.
Essentially, Jack is... I don't know if you want to go into spoilers for Borderlands 2.
Talk about what happens to Jack.
But so the ending of Borderlands 2 happens, and then essentially the characters from the heroes from Borderlands 1 and 2 have captured Athena, who is one of the Vault Hunters in this game.
Yeah.
And basically they say, why did you help Jack? Why were you siding with him? What possessed you to fight alongside him?
Right.
Justify yourself to us, or we're going to kill you. And so she's telling the story in flashback. That's kind of weird because she's the only character telling this in flashback.
I did think that was a little odd. I mean, especially because, I mean, Claptrap, I'm sure you can come up with some narrative reasons why that's not happening. But the fact that there were other characters there, I don't know, it seemed a little odd that one character was speaking for my character because that character wasn't anywhere near my character.
Yeah.
I was interacting with Athena,
or if you're playing the game by yourself, which obviously the game is meant to be played multiplayer, co-op online.
Right, with three other people.
With 3 other people. But if you're playing the game by yourself and you're not playing as Athena, there's a little bit of a disconnect with the story there.
Okay.
And I kind of had a little bit of an issue with that. And then, So, I mean, it's all being told in flashback, so you're playing the game before that, and then while you're playing the game, you'll even get moments of them, as she's explaining the story, will other characters will interject and be like, oh, well, that's stupid, why would you do that? Or, oh, you got to do that, that's so cool. You know, and or even like you meet a character and they say something and then that character suddenly shows up and goes, I would like to talk about the thing that you probably are hearing about in the story, and I'd like to justify something or whatever.
So do you think that helps or hurts the story?
I kind of feel like it hurt it a little bit.
Why?
I kind of just feel, because like I said, it kind of pulls you out of the story, because again, it's someone who you may not be playing as that character is telling your story, and it was a way for them to include the characters from Borderlands 2 without needing to force them into the game in a place where they wouldn't have been otherwise.
Okay.
And I also kind of do get a little bit annoyed with prequel style games, or games that are supposed to fit in a box and a timeline between 1 and 2, because I do feel like it does take place between 1 and 2, but there are things that are missing or don't make sense to me that they might have looked over to make it fit. And it as someone who is a huge game story person, it's a little weird. It's a little disconcerting. Now, that's not to say it's a bad story, because I actually really enjoyed it. Because, again, I love Borderlands. I like Borderlands 2. I actually think Borderlands 2 is better than 1. I still think Borderlands 2 is better than this game.
Okay.
But this is more of that style of game, so I really liked it.
Okay. I mean, outside of that, do you think there's anything else that you think that people would really need to know about this? They were considering getting it?
I mean, there's
pro or con.
I will say, without spoiling anything, there is a reveal at the end of the game that kind of is going to suggest where the franchise is. Because again, just like Borderlands 2 ends with a big hint at where the franchise is going next, this game kind of expands on that a little bit more.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's not something that they can't explain with like 2 sentences at the beginning of whatever Borderlands 3 is.
Okay.
The only other thing is that, like with 2, a lot of the better content, or at least a lot of the cool content, like extra playable characters and storyline content, came in DLC after the game came out. I know that they've got plans for doing more of that with the pre-sequel. I know right now, as this is recording, they've already released one new character, which is Jack's doppelganger.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically a guy who looks like Jack and talks like Jack. And
is his body double?
But it's a body double.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because there's actually you can find like audio logs in the game that actually explain that character's backstory.
Okay.
Which I actually thought was pretty cool, that you could access those audio logs before that character is even in the game.
Yeah, that is cool.
So you can kind of get that character's backstory when he is introduced eventually.
Well, does the game feel, I mean, when you say that, does the game itself feel like it's lacking in content when you play the single player game?
Well, here's the thing. I don't feel like it's lacking anything. It's just more of the same.
Okay.
Like I don't think it brings anything new to the table.
So not new and interesting, but no less quality than what we've seen in the previous games.
Exactly. And especially given the fact that this is a completely different team than what worked on the 2 games, I do applaud them for that, because sometimes when you do that, the content seems to suffer because it's not the same people.
Okay.
And here it doesn't feel like that's the case. It feels like you're getting more of exactly what you got previously. So if you want the same game but with more story, or with more explanation of character backstory and whatnot, then yeah, this is the game you want to play.
Well, what would you give it?
I'm gonna actually give it a 3.
Okay.
And that's because of the fact that, again, it's not really doing anything to make me go, oh man, this is the most amazing thing ever.
Sure.
But it's not terrible either. It's kind of middling of the road.
Okay.
It's very average in that regard. So it's not a 3 on a negative scale or anything like that, but it's
middle. It's
exactly in the medium. It's one of those things that if you didn't like Borderlands 1 or 2, you're not going to like this game. But if you loved Borderlands 1 and 2, you're probably going to love this game too.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm still not sure, John. You know what? You got me to 65.2%. I'm still not entirely sure whether I like Borderlands or not.
sad and lonely, sad and lonely, lonely and sad. I got no friends, but that's okay, 'cause at least I got, hands. Hands and no friends, that's the life.